right there, that guy, you can see the tips of his comb have black on them, and that is from frostbite. And that really sucks. And your roosters are most susceptible to it because their combs are really large. So those tips that are really far from the rest of their body are really susceptible to frostbite. What's going on, everybody? It is Cam here, Easy Work Acres, and today we are going to winterize our chicken coop. So basically it's starting to get cold outside. I don't want my chickens getting frostbite or anything like that. Now, if you started on this channel coming from the Amazon greenhouse, that worked really well actually for the winter time for the chickens. But we would like to utilize the coop we already have set up and not have to get the greenhouse ready for that again. So we're gonna winterize it and, you know, keep our chickens warm, keep them safe. This will make it to where we won't be able to move our coop as frequently. Not that we can't, I'm just not going to. I'm not gonna be moving the coop every single week with having to move all these hay bales you see right here behind me. So if you're unfamiliar with our coop, it is on tractor running gear. So we typically move this every single week and we just keep them fed and watered, and we have nesting boxes, rollaway boxes off the back of it. They're hungry and we do this on purpose. We let them run out of food right before we are moving them because they follow the feed. So when I let this fence down, if I just move their coop and pour some feed out, they're gonna go right where I need them to, and then I can put the fence up and get them moving. But this is our coop setup. I'm not gonna make y'all watch me move this whole thing. I think it's pretty simple. Bring the fence down, hook my truck up, pull the coop over. One thing I will say, always remember to collect your eggs before you move your movable coop. Sometimes I forget, and then you end up with a bunch of cracked eggs. So make sure that you always collect all them daggone eggs beforehand. Get. I got a child and a chicken trying to get these daggone eggs. Always something. All right, so we got the coop moved to a new spot now, and I'm going to be moving these hay bales all around this. But I'm gonna start off by propane torching the entire inside of the coop and stuff. It's just something I do about every time or two that I move the coop as a precautionary thing for pests, is to just go ahead and flame torch everything on the inside, all the places that they normally sit, inside their nesting boxes, on their roosting poles. And then we'll spread some DE once I get the hay bales in here. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up before I spread DE, but that's another precautionary thing I do just to keep pests down and, you know, keep our chickens healthy. All right, so we have the coop all torched up, and now I'm gonna go ahead and get these straw bales set all around the base of this coop. Now, the reason that I'm setting hay bales around the base of the coop is because if you look inside of our coop here, it has a false bottom. You can see right through to the ground. It's just that wire mesh, and that is great for fertilizing the ground as we go and making minimal cleanup in our coop, because all the poop just falls through the ground. Problem is that allows a lot of wind draft during the winter time. Great ventilation in the summer when it's hot and nasty and things like that. Winter time, just too much ventilation because there's too much wind draft. And if you look at the front of our coop, it's well ventilated too. So we're gonna be capping that off as well. And then I gotta figure out something to do with these water barrels up here at the front and how I can insulate those to prevent from freezing. I still haven't figured that out yet. So if you have ideas for trying to keep that water from freezing, please comment below, because I would love any ideas that you have. I've seen a bunch of them, but I haven't decided on one. So if you have one that you know has worked really, really well on your farm, please let me know, because it would be greatly helpful. My plan as of now is essentially to try and just box around it and maybe stuff some insulation in there, but I'm worried that's gonna cause mold or something if water gets in there and gets to the insulation. So we'll see, but if you got ideas, let me know. But let's get to stacking these hay bales around the base so that we can block that wind draft and hopefully hold some heat in. All right, so we got our hay bales up all around the base here, and I still left a pocket right there under their walkboard. And there's a couple little spots that they can still get up under the coop if they want to. They could slip in right there, kind of block wind off of this water bowl a little bit, and it's pretty solid. Now, another thing too is that these stacked up right under these rollaway nesting boxes will be very helpful for insulating the nesting boxes too, because those nesting boxes are false bottom as well. and that'll help us with having, you know, frozen eggs. So that's going to help insulate those a little bit. Not 100%, but if we collect eggs daily like we should, it shouldn't be a problem anyways. But aside from this blocking the wind, something else this is going to do, like I said, is retain heat. And then also when they are pooping through the floor in there, is that any of their poop that is composting is going to help produce some heat as well. And I still wanted this opened up to where they could get under there if they wanted to, because there's actually a big crossbar roosting pole under there. So even though there will be a lot of poop under there, they'll likely go under there to get on that roosting pole and hang out in the heat and not have to be inside their coop necessarily still. And this should help warm it up a lot inside the coop. Now, before I go on talking about the insulating the rest here, I wanted to mention the fence, because I did say earlier I wouldn't be moving this weekly like I normally do. Now, what I'm gonna do in place of moving this coop weekly is I'll move the fence weekly. So I have the fence running this direction right now. Then I can run the fence out long ways that way. Another week I can run it out long ways that way. Another week I can run it long ways that way, and anywhere in between. So I can maybe move this every 3 weeks instead of it being like every single week. I might even be able to go to a month. We'll just depend on how this burns down. This is the first season we're doing this as far as keeping this coop rolling with insulation. So we'll see if they just mow down an area, burn down an area too much, or it gets too nasty in that area where their coop is, then we'll move more frequently. But I think we'll be able to get a good 3 weeks or so without having to move, but still be able to move them to fresh grass by rotating the fence around the coop. Now, the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be putting in a piece of plywood right here to go ahead and block that off, so that'll retain more heat. And then I will go ahead and close that off all the way. Again, once they're all piled in there, they all huddle up and keep each other warm anyways. But the heavy amount of wind they're getting from under the coop and this whole wall being ventilated is an issue. So that is why we're blocking that off. And that door, because that door is right at the level of their roosting poles as well. Two is you don't want this thing sealed totally up anyways. You got to remember, they're like pooping in there all the time and stuff. Last thing you want is like no ventilation whatsoever and it being a sealed up poop box. So yeah, if you're doing any coop and you're insulating and things like that, and it's a situation like this where the chickens are in the coop or out of the coop, like, but in the area all the time, make sure that you still have ventilation. Ventilation still is important inside your coop, regardless if it's wintertime or not. When we have large numbers like these, they will keep each other warm. They huddle up. These are hardy animals, and we have a good mix of breeds. So we have some that are specifically just winter hardy anyways. So never seal your coop totally up. You still need ventilation inside your coop. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and start blocking this off. I just have like a nice Harbor Freight special 9-foot by 11-foot tarp. It's camouflaged, so it'll probably help hide the chickens from any predators. Predators won't be able to see them once I wrap this on there. But downside, I had to take off the sidebar on my daggone water tank because that's gonna block me from being able to slip that tarp past there. Hopefully not a big deal. But the whole reason I had to put a handrail around that is because I threw them water tanks clean off the front of this thing when I was moving it one time, so I had to build that. So I'll just have to be careful this winter when I'm moving it to not do anything crazy where those barrels are going to come falling out the side. I don't think it'd be a problem. Just something I didn't want to have to do. All right, we got her all tarped off. And up there at the top, I don't know if you can see, but those top vents up there, that is actually cardboarded from the inside. We did that like 2 winters ago because we tarped this off before. And that's why it was pretty easy for me to put this up because some of the nails from the grommets were already up there from the last time that we tarped this off. But pretty much that's all sealed up on the front now. We don't have to worry about wind blasting the chickens right there. And now the last thing we're gonna do is move on to this door, get that sealed up, and we're almost done trying to get this thing winterized, you know, other than our water barrels up here. All right, so I lied. I think I've already thought of a way to insulate these big barrels. So it's like the next day and overnight, I was like, oh my God, I think I thought of an idea. And I'm gonna try and build a greenhouse around this barrel setup up here. So that's some scrap wood that I kind of stuck in there, just kind of fitting things up. And then I'm gonna wrap it in some plastic. I'll do a video showing the whole build out of this. I just wanted to tell you that I am going to insulate this by doing a greenhouse around it to try and thaw this out and possibly throw a floater down in their bowl so that the bowl itself doesn't freeze up. but I think that might help us with the insulating the water side. In that video where I show the full build out, which will be a separate video from this one, I'll let you know how this does overall, but this is my plan for insulating our water on this winterization this year. You know, I got to looking around in my scrap pile, and I don't really want to have to cut another sheet of plywood and waste it. So that little gap there, we're gonna block it with a feed bag, because all we're trying to do is block the wind. So let's put this baby in here. Looky there, looky there. Our feed bag situation worked out perfectly. That sucker literally fit perfectly between those two boards, able to nail it top and bottom, and that's gonna block the wind just fine off their roosting poles right inside that door. We got the front end blocked off. They're safe for predators because they can't be seen now with the camouflage. And we have our hay bales all put around the base to block the wind chill from there. Now, wind chill is really important to keep off of your chickens, especially during the winter months where you have the combination of cold, wet, and wind. And between rains and snows and things like that, the moisture in there is going to be problematic when they get hit with that wind chill. That's how they end up with frostbite. I got a rooster right here that has frostbite that I'd like to show you. Right there, that guy. You can see the tips of his comb have black on them, and that is from frostbite. And that really sucks. And your roosters are most susceptible to it because their combs are really large. So those tips that are really far from the rest of their body are really susceptible to frostbite. And we happen to have like a random, like 2 or 3 days where it got down in like the low 20s when it had not been anywhere near that temperature up until then. So it kind of sucks. We were not prepared. It happened out of nowhere. So as soon as we got the opportunity, we tried to get this insulated up and the wind chill off these chickens so that that's not a problem anymore. Now, before I finish up, like I said, I am going to spread DE all around this coop. I've already done the inside. I'm going to spread it around the hay bales, but I'm not going to make you all watch this because this was about, you know, winterizing this coop. So that's all I got for you. Hopefully this was an informative video and this will help you as far as like winterizing your coop to some level. And I think that's about all I got for you. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We would love to have you guys continue watching with us as we, you know, continue on this whole farming adventure of us trying to, you know, make the market garden, selling eggs, doing firewood, all kinds of different ways that we can make money for our farm, and kind of build this up and teach our kids along the way. You all have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.